Don Fischer, Inside Indiana Basketball, 7:05 at Southern Stone tonight. Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Don, welcome along. Charlie Miller here as well. Both guys, how are you?
Good.
Charlie's dressed as his spirit animal, Rob Fennessy.
That's right.
Don, a great effort, Don, off this weekend, this Indiana team. I'll be honest with you. I was surprised. Not only did they give Purdue a game, they were in that game. They had a shot to actually win that game in Mackey Arena, which I would have bet. I would have lost anything that anybody wouldn't have bet me that would have been the outcome of the game.
Well, I would have thought that if Indiana was in the game like they were, that they would win it. I thought they played terrific defensively, held Purdue to less than 40% shooting from in the ball game from the field. Unfortunately, they did not stop them from shooting some threes. They had 5 of those from Sasha Stefanovic and Jaden Ivey, although Ivey was held to 10 points. So was Zach Edey. Their 2 top scorers. Each of those guys both got 10 points in the ball game, and Ivey was no factor in regard to scoring the basketball in the second half. He had 4 free throws. That was it. I just thought Indiana's defense in this game was terrific under the circumstances. Here's my rant, guys, here this morning in regard to what happened in this ball game. I want to ask the question: how can you go over 16 minutes with only 1 foul being called against the other team? They had a foul called on Zach Edey at 11 seconds into the second half, and they had 1 foul called after that until the 3:03 mark of the game. Now, a game that physical as it was, that's impossible. It's just not. It can't happen that way. And Indiana was called for, I believe, 8 in that same period of time. And again, I hate belly aching about officiating, but that doesn't make sense. And obviously, Mike Woodson was pretty upset at the end of that ball game in regard to the lack of fouls against Purdue, because they were able to foul 3 times before they hit, or 4 times actually, before they actually could shoot free throws, or before Indiana could shoot free throws. And that was all in the last 30 seconds of the game. So you tell me what's going on there. That didn't make any sense to me. So that's my rant this morning, guys. Sorry to take off on the officials, but I think it's warranted.
Well, Don, Jim, if you don't mind, John, I'm not affiliated, so I can't. You be quiet. You be quiet, because I don't want your money canceled over there, okay? I can talk about it. It's real. You know what I'm talking about. I've been on both sides of it. Some home cooking, we call it. It's some good, old-fashioned home cooking. It's real. And you know, as well as we all know, especially at our level, you can call foul every play if you want to, right? I mean, it won't be a fun game. But, okay, you're telling me a team is that good, right? Guys aren't being bumped off screens or slightly hit. And you know, that's a big difference, because that now will affect your confidence as a player offensively at what you can and cannot do. Then defensively, you feel they're being very sensible when you go down the court to play defense on what the same thing you feel they're doing to you offensively. That can definitely throw off the makings of a team. And then as a coaching staff, I'm on the certain Coach Woodson and everybody, you don't want to make a big deal of that. You don't want this to be, the ref's not on our side, right? You don't want to start complaining about that, but it's real.
21 fouls called on Indiana versus 11 for Purdue. Indiana had 5 players with 3 or more fouls, 2 of which had 4. Purdue only had 2 players with 3 fouls.
Hey, Don, you remember this one? Don, you may not remember this one. 1996, Conzo Martin shoots and makes 22 points from the free throw line. He made 22 points from the free throw line. Same building. Okay? It's real.
Trust me, Charlie, I don't remember that because I'm old.
I got you. Well, I'm sorry.
Everything else.
Yeah.
And Charlie,
remember that one.
Real. It's real. In that same building. So I mean, it is what it is.
But you know what? I still, despite all that, Indiana was still in the ball game and gave them. They had a chance to win. And let's face facts here. Going down the stretch, the one thing that this team has lacked in this struggle that they've had to win ball games at the end is they can't make a shot when it counts, when it really means something. And that has been the biggest issue this ball club has had through these games that they've lost here of late. Because honestly, out of the last, I think 6 games now, maybe it's 7, I think it's 6, out of the last 6 ball games that they have lost, they have been in 5 of those ball games right down to the end. And they just couldn't find a way to either not make a mistake or make a shot. One of those 2 things has happened in all 5 of those losses. And it's cost them dramatically here at the end of the season.
Yeah, someone just pointed out they were 5 of 20 from the 3-point line. It wasn't just the 3-point line, but that's exactly. I was talking about that before you joined us. If I watch any clip of older Indiana games, they always have a guy that could hit shots. I'm like, gee, I was watching one the other day with AJ Guyton, Charlie Miller. Doesn't matter. It's like, wow, damn, how they hit that shot? I've become so used to not seeing those shots made that those shots used to be commonplace, and they're not now in Indiana. And I just said, Indiana just doesn't have that guy yet, or guys yet, and the fans just have to understand that this is what they have, and the fact that they're this close with a group that they put together without that, I'm kind of astonished, because if yesterday proved anything, or this weekend proved anything, they just don't have that shooter, and we know that. The fact that they could get close and beat some of these teams, that blows my mind, to be honest with you.
Well, that also comes down, guys, to, execution. I mean, easier said than done. But when you have more turnovers than shot opportunities, late shot clock or end of shot, whatever it might be, in the first half or end of game, that just kind of also, to me, just kind of shows that you don't really have an in-game strategy for those. Like the shot that Xavier took, I mean, not bad, but 3 seconds can get you within the 3-point line to get a decent look. But that just comes down to those type of shots. You're not going to win many miracles. I think players got to start executing, to understand, where they have to get better at. That's what I see more than anything.
Yeah, I think that is the case. I mean, again, you've got guys who can shoot the basketball on this team, but there's a confidence level now at the end of ball games too. Comes into play here. When you haven't seen a shot go down to win a ball game like this, you start to doubt that there's any. I mean, well, I don't want to see these guys doubt their teammates, but that's a part of learning how to win. Somebody making that shot to give them, and also to get that guy into position to make that shot. You've got to be. You just can't willy-nilly come down the floor and throw up a shot and think, if that goes in, we're going to win. That's not the way you do it. You've got to do it within the framework of what you try to do offensively. And sometimes it's luck, but that luck can flourish into a lot of confidence and a lot of wins down the stretch. But unfortunately, this team has not been able to do that this year.
Well, Don, I'm sorry. I got to speak for you again. No, you do doubt teammates. You do. You can't. I don't want you saying it, Don. You got. I'm trying to protect you today, man. I got to look out for you. I'm blocking for you. No, it comes down to it. You got to know your personnel. That's a KYP thing, right? You got to know the eyes that light up and the eyes that shut down. You got to know those hands are out, physical cues who want it, and people who are going in the corner. You got to understand your personnel, and it's real at every level. So I'm not saying, again, it's wrong, but that's just the case. You got to know your people. You have to know your team, right? And again, that turnovers happen also when you're trying to get out of your natural zones, right? When you're trying to do things you typically don't do, right? You don't practice that, that shot that we make. You said it happens sometimes, but you don't practice that. Get downhill, try to make a play at the basket, get fouled, see what happens.
I think one other thing too, guys, and because I'm almost at the end of my segment here, but I want to have a shout out to Xavier Johnson because he's been demeaned, and rightly so at times this year with some of his performances. But I think the last 8 10 games, Xavier Johnson has improved dramatically in his decision making, in his lack of the number of turnovers that he's had, in trying to lead this basketball team. And had it not been for him in 2 or 3 of these other contests that they did win, they would not have won those ball games, because he has been playing, I think, the best basketball of his career. Because I know at Pittsburgh, he was kind of a wild child there in regard to some of the things that he did. But nevertheless, I think he has grown dramatically here at the end of this season. I congratulate him on that. And he's one of the reasons that this team going into the Big Ten tournament this week, I think, gives Indiana a chance to maybe do something and maybe make a run here in the tournament. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I do think that his play has given Indiana a better feeling, confidence-wise, about what we're going to see in this tournament.
Not only do I agree with you, Don, but I think that has happened since the Northwestern game. When that suspension happened, either Mike sat him down and they had a heart-to-heart, or whatever happened, but you can see since then leadership qualities, the play that you've talked about, the decision making. I guarantee you, look at his assist to turnover ratio since then. It's nuts. But I agree with you 1,000%. It is, however X goes, Indiana goes right now.
That's true.
And he's been doing the things that you wish he could have done all year. But anyway, I agree with you 1,000%. And I think it's been since the Northwestern game. Hopefully it would be enough as they go off and face a Michigan team this week on Thursday, Don, in the Big Ten tournament, to open up with a team this is kind of this is almost a play-in game as well, because Michigan needs to win this game.
Right. I do think that Michigan, with their win yesterday, probably has enhanced their situation. Indiana's loss to Purdue probably has hurt Indiana fairly dramatically as well. I believe Indiana's only chance is to win at least 2 ball games in the Big Ten tournament. If they are able to beat Michigan, they're going to face Illinois in the second ball game, which will be a huge test without question. But I do think that Indiana has an opportunity here, and I think they're playing better basketball now than they were before that suspension, if you want to put it in that regard, because they've gotten better. They've figured out a little bit of something here, and I think Xavier's been a big piece of that. So hopefully, and here's the other thing about playing Michigan. Indiana will be a different team playing them this time than they were the first time, because if you remember, they came off a very emotional win over Purdue before they played Michigan. And then they played Michigan with there was no intensity to that team, no focus to that team. It was like they had an emotional letdown going into that ball game, and Michigan dominated them. I think that could change pretty dramatically in this matchup.